So we come now to the online consultations. And the online consultations are something I do a lot of now. Now, a lot of people will sniff at this and say, well, it's not the same as working with a person in face-to-face. And it isn't. But it can even be better at times. You know, you don't have to worry about what you're wearing, for example. You know, I could be sat here in brightly floral coloured shorts and you'd have absolutely no idea about it. So I can be sat at my desk, I can have my slippers and PJs on, so long as from the part that is within view of the camera I look reasonable, you'd have no idea. I can be sat here, I've got my cup of coffee, you know, it's a great way to work. But apart from the fact that you're not as visible as you are as if you're one-to-one in person, there are many things to consider. And, you know, the first one, of course, is that you can work anywhere, and with computers, with tablets, even with smartphones. So long as you've got a signal, so long as you've either got internet or a good 4G, even a good 3G signal, it's possible to do a consultation online. And I think this is what's really important, is we talk about the world getting smaller because we can all communicate so instantly and so easily now. But it is very true, and we can work almost anywhere so long as certain conditions are fulfilled. And one thing I would like to talk to you about, though, that is very important to consider is, even though we can see in this picture, here is perhaps an example of a Skype consultation. What I think is interesting is that I can see her home, and you have to think also that the person on the consultation who's looking at you can see what's around you as well. And so you have to think, are you comfortable with that? And you also have to think about confidentiality. And it's very important, if you're going to do this online, that other people can't eavesdrop. And I have had situations, for example, where I've been talking to someone for half an hour perhaps online, and it's looked a little bit similar to how this image looks in front of you now. And suddenly, up from behind them pops the husband who's been sat there reading a book. Now, there is the issue of confidentiality, and it could be that, you know, there are things you need to say one-to-one to that person, that, you know, it's a sacred relationship when you're doing a private consultation. So make sure you know that you have got privacy and you have any permission for anyone else to be present. And it's one of the mistakes many of us make. You know, the kids suddenly walk across the screen, or it looks like that anyway, they start waving in front. But if, depending on the type of consultation, it could be some very personal and emotional information. So, you know, do consider that I'm looking into this person's home now. I can see what type of bed she's got. I can see the plants. There I can see the fan above her head. What I can't see right behind her perhaps is that her husband's lying down on the bed and listening to every word. And so there has to be this sense of confidentiality. Now, one thing really to consider here is that your sound is good if you're going to work online. Tinny microphones do not sound good. So invest in a good microphone. Now, it doesn't have to cost a lot of money, but even a decent USB microphone or a plug-in microphone to your computer will be better than the one that is built in normally. There are some new iPads and some new tablets and computers where the microphone's pretty good, but it's very hard to find them that actually will be better than a dedicated microphone. So check what your sound is like. Is it good quality? Also, your lighting is very important. If you're not well lit, then, it doesn't look so good, let's face it. It's not so personal. It's almost as if, oh, there's the person in the shadows in the dark. Make sure you've got good room lighting. And the other thing is the video quality will then be better as well. Everything will be clearer. Now, here's just a quick photograph of two of the cameras on top of my computer at the moment. I've got two different types. The one on the left is a 4K Logitech webcam, and the other on the right is a Logitech, and it's a good quality HD webcam. They're both plugged into the computer, and I can decide what is the right picture. I've also got a fail-safe. But also, if you look between the two of them and down, there's a dot, and that is the FaceTime camera on my computer. So there are actually three options there. And you can buy some software that will allow you to use all your cameras, and you just cut to different angles. So, for example, if you need to show someone something, an object, you could cut and take one of those off and point it at the object. So there's lots you can do and lots to consider. I have that set up because I work a lot online. It's perfectly acceptable. Just have the dot in the middle at the top, which is also a camera that comes with the computer. What will make the difference to the quality will be sound and lighting, which we've already covered. Now, the other thing about working online that's really worth bearing in mind is that it can be recorded. And I think this is fantastic. You can make a recording. I save it onto a hard drive because recordings of video can be quite large. So I will save it onto a hard drive, and then I would upload it either to a very private Facebook group, for example, where only a secret group where only the person concerned has access to it, or I could upload it somewhere like Dropbox and give the person the link to download it. But it's worth thinking about. Certainly in one-to-ones, if they're not being recorded, then people have trouble remembering everything, and quite often they come back and they'll say things and you'll think, I didn't actually say that and I don't remember that. So you've got some kind of backup. But the other thing is you must always ask for permission. And for good reason. There are many, for example, mediums who do not like recording. Their recordings have been picked apart in an editing program, put together randomly, well, not necessarily randomly, quite deliberately, to be honest, but they've taken random sections of the recording, video or voice, and put them through an editor, cut and pasted in different places and made it look as if the person was bad. Now, that's a pretty horrible, mean thing to do. But for that reason, and a few mediums have been stung like that, then they'll say, well, no, you can't record. Others will say, well, it's up to you if you record online, but it does take up a lot of memory, so be aware of that. Make sure you've got a good hard drive that you can save to, because video files working online are extremely large. If you work online, you might be using a whole number of platforms. You might be using, I use Zoom because I can share the screen, and so I can show a PowerPoint and talk to the student or the recipient if I need to show them some information. Skype now has the facility to record the call. So there are lots and lots of options now available that weren't available before. But remember, this is sacred and this is confidential. So if you feel there are other people in the room, only find that acceptable if you agree with it yourself, if it's not a problem. If you don't, then say. And ideally, say in advance, this is a private meeting. It's important that wherever we conduct this meeting, it is not open to the eyes and ears of anybody else unless they've asked specific permission. So, for example, someone who would maybe translate for them or help them with the language if they have a different language and they don't feel confident. Always check and make sure. I think it is best to start it at the beginning before you actually start the sitting or the consultation. Confidentiality is absolutely key. Let's just take a moment now to look at the setup. Now, we talked about having good audio, good video and lighting. And this is just a screenshot of my settings in Skype. So if you go to Skype and you click on Preferences or Settings, you're going to find here somewhere called Audio Video. And if you click that, you will then be able to select which video camera you're using. So whether you're using one of the webcams like I have, or you're using the built-in, and also the microphone. So if you've got an external microphone, you need to make sure that that is selected. So these things are very easy to set up once you know, but this is Skype. And as you can see, my microphone is the Yeti stereo microphone in that case for Skype. So that about covers what I need to cover on online consultations for now. There are going to be more videos which are practical guides. So thank you very much. Please remember to hit the subscribe button, then you're going to know when the new videos are available. You'll be first to be informed. And I look forward to creating the next part of the series, which will be with you very soon, I hope. So bye for now.